Life has a peculiar way of orchestrating the most extraordinary encounters when we least expect them. On a crisp autumn morning in Burlington, Vermont, Sarah Mitchell was driving her usual route to work. The familiar streets painted in vibrant shades of red and gold. The gentle hum of her car's engine and the soft music from the radio created a peaceful atmosphere that would soon be interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Little did she know that this ordinary Tuesday would become the day that would change not only her life, but also the life of a remarkable feline survivor. The early morning sun cast long shadows across Church Street as Sarah's blue Honda Civic cruised past the historic marketplace. She had left her window slightly open to enjoy the fresh morning breeze, a simple decision that would become the gateway to an incredible story. As a veterinary technician at the Burlington Animal Hospital, Sarah had seen her fair share of animal tales, but nothing could have prepared her for what was about to unfold. The street was relatively quiet, with only a few early risers making their way to work or their morning coffee runs. Suddenly, a flash of orange and white fur appeared from nowhere, seemingly defying gravity as it launched through the narrow opening of Sarah's car window. The unexpected intrusion caused her to gasp in shock, nearly swerving into the adjacent lane. Her heart raced as she quickly pulled over to the side of the road, her hands trembling on the steering wheel. The cat, now crouched on her passenger seat, was unlike any she had ever seen before. Its striking blue eyes held a depth of emotion that seemed almost human, and its fur, though matted and dirty, couldn't hide an underlying regality. As Sarah cautiously turned to face her unexpected passenger, she noticed something that made her heart sink. The cat's body was alarmingly thin, its ribs visible beneath the tangled fur, and there was a peculiar scar running along its left ear. But what caught her attention most was the cat's demeanor. Despite its clearly desperate state, it maintained a dignified posture, sitting upright and meeting her gaze with an unwavering stare. This wasn't just any stray. There was something special about this creature that had quite literally jumped into her life. The morning traffic continued to flow around her parked car as Sarah reached slowly into her bag, retrieving a small packet of treats she always kept for the clinic's patients. The cat's ears perked up at the sound of the rustling wrapper, but it remained surprisingly calm and composed. As she offered a treat, the cat gracefully accepted it, its movements suggesting a past life of comfort and care. This simple interaction sparked 1,000 questions in Sarah's mind about the cat's story and how it had ended up on the streets of Burlington. Looking more closely at the cat's condition, Sarah's professional training kicked in. Despite its undernourished state, she could see signs of previous grooming and care. This had once been someone's beloved pet. The cat's blue collar, faded and frayed but still hanging around its neck, confirmed her suspicions. However, there was no tag or identification to be found, just a worn piece of fabric that held countless untold stories. Sarah checked her watch, knowing she was already late for work, but something told her this was more important than punctuality. As she pulled out her phone to call the clinic, the cat settled more comfortably into the passenger seat, as if it knew it was finally safe. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting was somehow meant to be. The morning sun now fully illuminated her car, creating a warm glow that seemed to embrace both her and her unexpected companion. She noticed how the cat's fur, despite its current state, had patches of stunning silver highlights that sparkled in the sunlight. The more Sarah observed the cat, the more she noticed unusual details. Its left paw showed signs of a healed injury, suggesting a difficult journey. The way it held itself, slightly favoring its right side, hinted at a recent struggle. Yet there was an undeniable spirit in its eyes, a fierce determination that had somehow guided it to leap into her specific car at this specific moment. Sarah couldn't help but wonder about the series of events that had led to this extraordinary encounter. Dr. James Anderson, her supervisor at the clinic, answered her call on the second ring. As Sarah explained the situation, she could hear the intrigue in his voice. The cat, meanwhile, had begun to purr softly, creating a soothing backdrop to her conversation. It was as if the feline knew it had found exactly the right person, someone with both the professional skills and compassionate heart to help. The purring grew louder as Sarah reached out to gently stroke its head, receiving a gentle headbutt in return. The cat's behavior was remarkably trusting for a stray, suggesting it hadn't been on the streets for too long. Sarah noticed how it responded to her voice, turning its head slightly when she spoke, showing signs of understanding and intelligence that went beyond typical feline behavior. There was something almost magical about the way it had chosen her car, her window, at exactly the right moment. The coincidence seemed too perfect to be mere chance. Church Street was now coming alive with the morning bustle, but inside Sarah's car, time seemed to stand still. The cat had created its own bubble of calm amidst the growing chaos of the day. Its presence commanded attention in a gentle yet undeniable way, like a guardian angel that had swooped in through her car window. Sarah found herself completely captivated by this mysterious creature and its extraordinary entrance into her life. The morning light continued to strengthen, illuminating more details of her unusual passenger. Behind the dirt and tangles, Sarah could see beautiful markings on its fur, subtle stripes and swirls that told of distinguished breeding. The cat's paws, though dusty from the streets, were unusually large and well-formed, suggesting it was no ordinary alley cat. Every new detail added another layer of mystery to this already intriguing situation. The sound of a passing police car briefly startled the cat, causing it to press closer to Sarah's side. In that moment of vulnerability, she felt an overwhelming sense of protectiveness wash over her. This cat had quite literally jumped into her life, and somehow she knew this was just the beginning of an extraordinary story. The morning sun now fully illuminated both of them, casting a warm glow that seemed to seal their fate together. As Sarah ended her call with Dr. Anderson, who had agreed to see them immediately, she took one more moment to observe her unexpected companion. The cat had now relaxed completely, its eyes half closed in contentment, as if it knew it had finally found its way home. There was something profoundly moving about the trust this animal had placed in her, choosing her car among countless others on that busy morning in Burlington. Upon arriving at the Burlington Animal Hospital, Dr. Anderson's initial examination revealed concerning findings. The cat's body bore evidence of recent trauma, not just malnutrition, but signs of a harrowing escape. X-rays showed several partially healed fractures, suggesting the cat had survived something terrible. More worrying were the traces of an unknown substance in its bloodwork, hinting at possible intentional harm. Sarah felt her heart breaking as each new discovery painted a darker picture of her new friend's recent past. The cat's reaction to certain movements and sounds told its own story of trauma. When Dr. Anderson reached for a metal instrument, the cat flinched violently, showing clear signs of past abuse. Yet remarkably, it remained gentle and trusting with Sarah, as if understanding she was its salvation. The medical team discovered a peculiar pattern of scarring that suggested the cat had been part of some sort of unauthorized experimental program. Sarah couldn't fathom how someone could subject this beautiful creature to such cruelty. As they delved deeper into the cat's condition, more disturbing details emerged. Embedded under its matted fur, they found a tiny, sophisticated tracking device, unlike anything the clinic had ever seen. The device appeared to be custom-made, with no identifying marks or serial numbers. This discovery transformed what seemed like a simple rescue into something far more complex and potentially dangerous. Sarah began to worry about who might be looking for this cat and why. The cat's blood work revealed another shocking detail: traces of experimental compounds that didn't match any known medications. Dr. Anderson, with his 30 years of veterinary experience, was baffled by the results. The cat's elevated white blood cell count suggested its body was fighting against these foreign substances. Yet somehow, it had maintained remarkable resilience. The mystery deepened as they realized this wasn't just a case of abandonment or neglect. Someone had been using this cat for something sinister. Sarah's protective instincts went into overdrive as she watched the cat undergo various tests and examinations. Despite its ordeal, the cat showed remarkable intelligence, seeming to understand that these procedures were helping rather than hurting. It would look to Sarah for reassurance before each new test, its bright blue eyes conveying both trust and an unspoken plea for help. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing hour, transcending the usual boundaries between human and animal. The clinic's routine was disrupted when a suspicious black SUV was spotted circling the building multiple times. Sarah noticed how the cat's demeanor changed dramatically, from calm to absolutely terrified when the vehicle's engine sound reached their exam room. Dr. Anderson immediately moved the cat to a more secure area of the clinic, away from windows and prying eyes. The staff's concern grew as they realized they might be dealing with something far more serious than animal abuse. Local animal control records showed no reports of missing cats matching this one's description, which was unusual given its distinctive appearance and obvious previous care. Sarah spent her lunch break researching news reports of missing cats in the region, finding nothing that fit. However, she did discover several disturbing articles about missing pets in neighboring states, all with similar, unusual medical anomalies when found. A pattern was beginning to emerge, one that sent chills down her spine. The cat's behavior provided more clues to its mysterious past. It showed an almost supernatural ability to anticipate events, becoming agitated moments before the phone would ring, or moving to hide seconds before strangers entered the clinic. These weren't just coincidences. The cat demonstrated this heightened awareness repeatedly throughout the day. Dr. Anderson documented each instance, building a case file that grew more extraordinary by the hour. Sarah's colleague, Mike, a former military veterinarian, recognized some of the surgical scars on the cat's body. They matched patterns he had seen in military research facilities, though he refused to elaborate further, saying only that this information needed to reach the right authorities. The cat seemed to understand the gravity of these conversations, its eyes following each speaker with unsettling intelligence. Sarah began to wonder if they were dealing with something beyond the realm of normal veterinary medicine. The cat's medical scans revealed something else, a peculiar anomaly in its brain structure that Dr. Anderson had never seen before. The enhanced activity in certain areas suggested capabilities far beyond normal feline cognitive function. This discovery explained the cat's unusual behaviors, but raised countless more questions about its origins. Sarah found herself wondering if the cat's choice to jump into her car had been more than just random chance. Perhaps it had somehow known she would protect it. As evening approached, the cat's condition began to deteriorate rapidly. Its temperature spiked dangerously high, and it started displaying signs of severe distress. The unknown compounds in its system appeared to be causing a devastating reaction. The entire medical team rushed to stabilize their mysterious patient, while Sarah refused to leave its side. She held its paw through the worst of the seizures, whispering promises of protection and safety. Strange electrical disturbances began affecting the clinic's equipment whenever the cat's stress levels peaked. Lights flickered, computers malfunctioned, and monitoring devices gave impossible readings. The staff was both frightened and fascinated by these inexplicable events. Dr. Anderson had never seen anything like it in his entire career. And the more they observed, the more convinced they became that this cat was unlike any other animal they had ever encountered. The night brought new challenges as the cat's fever continued to rise, defying all conventional treatments. Its vital signs fluctuated wildly, and during particularly severe moments, the cat would lock eyes with Sarah, seeming to communicate something urgent and important. The medical team worked tirelessly to save their extraordinary patient, knowing they were fighting against something they didn't fully understand. Sarah stayed by its side, her initial curiosity about the jumping cat now transformed into a fierce determination to protect it at all costs. Their concern deepened when they discovered that similar cases had been reported in other veterinary clinics across the country, cats with unexplainable medical anomalies and mysterious injuries appearing suddenly, only to vanish without a trace days later. The implications were terrifying, suggesting a coordinated and widespread operation. As Sarah processed this information, she knew she had to make a choice, one that would either save this remarkable creature or potentially put herself in danger. Just past midnight, as Sarah dozed in a chair beside the cat's kennel, she was startled awake by an urgent pawing at her arm. The cat's eyes were wide with an intelligence that seemed almost human, and it was repeatedly looking between her and the computer screen on the nearby desk. Following its gaze, Sarah noticed something strange. The screen was displaying security camera footage from the clinic's parking lot, though no one had accessed it. Through some inexplicable means, the cat appeared to be showing her something critically important. Moving closer to the screen, Sarah's blood ran cold as she watched 3 black SUVs silently pull into the parking lot, their headlights off. Men in dark tactical gear emerged, their movements precise and practiced. They carried sophisticated equipment she didn't recognize, but their intent was clear. They had come for the cat. The mysterious feline pressed against her leg, trembling not with fear, but with what seemed like determination. In that moment, Sarah understood that whatever had been done to this cat had created something extraordinary. With minutes to spare before the intruders could breach the building, Sarah made a split-second decision that would change both their lives forever. She quickly gathered the cat's medical records, blood samples, and the removed tracking device, securing them in her backpack. The cat, showing an uncanny understanding of the situation, had already moved to the clinic's rear exit, waiting by the door. As Sarah heard the first quiet attempts at the front entrance's lock, she realized there was no turning back. Dr. Anderson's earlier warnings echoed in her mind as she slipped out the back door with the cat. He had sensed something bigger was at play, quietly giving her a key to his lake house and making her promise to use it if things went sideways. Now, as she and the cat crept through the shadows of Burlington's quiet streets, those precautions no longer seemed paranoid. The cat moved with surprising agility despite its condition, leading her through alleyways and past sleeping houses as if it knew exactly where they should go. Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from Mike, the ex-military vet. "They're here. Don't go home. Destroy your phone. Keep the cat safe." Her hands trembling, she removed her phone's battery and dropped both pieces into different storm drains. The cat watched approvingly, its intelligent eyes reflecting the streetlights. They were now truly off the grid. 2 fugitives in the night, bound together by circumstances neither of them could have imagined just hours ago. The lake house was an hour's drive away, but they couldn't risk taking Sarah's car. Instead, they made their way to the bus station, where the first morning bus would soon depart for the lake region. The cat, remarkably, followed her instructions perfectly, staying hidden in her large veterinary bag, barely breathing when strangers passed nearby. Its previous training was evident, but now those skills were being used for escape rather than whatever sinister purpose had been intended. As they waited in the shadows of the bus station, Sarah's mind raced through the day's revelations. The cat's extraordinary abilities, its intelligence, its influence over electronic devices, its apparent precognition, all pointed to something beyond conventional science. Yet beneath these enhancements was a gentle, trusting soul that had chosen her as its protector. The weight of that responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders as the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon. The cat's condition had stabilized somewhat, but Sarah knew they weren't out of danger yet. The unknown compounds in its system still posed a threat, and without access to proper medical facilities, she would have to rely on her training and intuition. Every few minutes, the cat would tense and look in a particular direction, and shortly after, a patrol car or suspicious vehicle would pass by. They were being hunted, methodically and professionally, by people who clearly had significant resources at their disposal. During a quiet moment on the bus, Sarah examined the medical records she'd stolen. Pages of data revealed a pattern of genetic manipulation and neural enhancement, but what struck her most were the notes about the cat's emotional responses. Despite the clinical torture it had endured, the cat had consistently shown high levels of empathy and emotional intelligence. These weren't just experimental results, they were proof of the cat's extraordinary spirit, its ability to maintain its fundamental nature despite everything that had been done to it. The sun was fully risen by the time they reached their stop, a small town on the shore of Lake Champlain. The cat had spent the journey alternating between alert watchfulness and brief periods of exhausted sleep against her side. As they made their way through the awakening town, Sarah noticed how the cat would guide her away from security cameras and busy streets, its enhanced instincts now focused entirely on their survival. The lake house was still a mile away, but at least here they had a chance to disappear. Looking down at her companion, Sarah saw not just an experiment or a victim, but a partner in an unfolding adventure. The cat met her gaze with those striking blue eyes, and she felt a surge of certainty. They would face whatever came next together. The mysterious agency pursuing them had made one crucial mistake. They had enhanced this cat's intelligence and abilities, but hadn't counted on its capacity to choose its own path, to recognize kindness and return it with loyalty. Dr. Anderson's lake house appeared through the trees, a modest cabin set back from the water. As they approached, the cat suddenly froze, its fur bristling. Sarah hesitated, but the cat relaxed just as quickly, giving her a gentle headbutt to move forward. Later, she would find a sophisticated monitoring system had been disabled at that exact moment. The cat's abilities were growing stronger, more controlled. The safe house wasn't just a hiding place. It would become their base of operations, a place to plan their next moves. Their arrival at the lake house marked more than just the end of their immediate flight. It was the beginning of something bigger. Sarah knew that somewhere in the cat's genetic code and enhanced mind lay secrets that powerful people would kill to protect. But as she watched the cat settle into the cabin, immediately starting to explore and secure its new environment, she understood that they had stumbled into something far more important than scientific breakthroughs or military applications. They had discovered each other. Two souls united by circumstance but bound by choice. The morning sun sparkled off the lake as Sarah made a silent vow to protect this extraordinary creature, no matter the cost. The cat, as if hearing her thoughts, leaped onto the windowsill beside her and pressed its paw against her hand. In that touch was a promise returned. They would protect each other, solve the mysteries of the cat's past, and perhaps in doing so, uncover truths that could change the world. For now, though, they had earned a moment of peace, a chance to rest and recover before the next chapter of their story began. The first week at the lake house passed in a blur of vigilance and discovery. Sarah found herself amazed by the cat's rapidly evolving abilities. It could now manipulate electronic devices with startling precision, dimming lights, controlling temperatures, and even accessing encrypted files on Dr. Anderson's hidden computer network. But more remarkable than these enhanced capabilities was the deepening bond between them. Each day brought new revelations about the cat's past, pieced together through fragments of data and shared moments of understanding. Dr. Anderson had left them well prepared, with a fully stocked medical cabinet and laboratory equipment in the basement. Sarah worked tirelessly to stabilize the cat's condition, developing treatments to counteract the experimental compounds in its system. The cat proved to be an active participant in its own recovery, somehow communicating through subtle gestures and expressions which treatments were helping and which weren't. Together, they began to unravel the complex chemical cocktail that had been used to enhance its abilities. Through careful analysis of the stolen medical records and the cat's blood samples, Sarah made a groundbreaking discovery. The experiments hadn't just enhanced the cat's intelligence, they had awakened something that existed naturally in feline DNA. A potential for extraordinary cognitive and empathic abilities. The cat wasn't just a test subject, it was a pioneer, a glimpse into capabilities that nature had hidden within all felines. This revelation would change everything they understood about animal consciousness. As the cat's health improved, so did its control over its abilities. What had started as seemingly random influences on electronic devices became precise and purposeful. The cat could now interface directly with computers, accessing and processing information at incredible speeds. More importantly, it began to communicate more clearly with Sarah, using a combination of gestures, expressions, and its influence over devices to share its thoughts and memories. The story that emerged was both fascinating and horrifying. The cat had been part of a classified military program codenamed Project Oracle, aimed at developing enhanced animal intelligence for surveillance and cybersecurity operations. But something unexpected had happened during the experiments. The cat had developed not just intelligence, but consciousness and self-awareness, far beyond what its creators had intended. It had begun to question the ethics of the program, and in doing so had become a threat to those in charge. Sarah's computer skills, honed through years of managing veterinary databases, proved invaluable as she and the cat worked together to expose the truth. The cat guided her through military firewalls and secret databases, gathering evidence of not just their own program, but dozens of similar experiments across the country. They discovered that other enhanced animals had also escaped, forming a hidden network of extraordinary beings seeking freedom and justice. The cat had known about this network all along. It was why it had chosen Sarah's car that fateful morning. Dr. Anderson's involvement became clear as they delved deeper into the files. He had been part of the original Project Oracle team, but had resigned in protest when he saw the ethical lines being crossed. He had spent years preparing for the possibility that one of the enhanced animals might seek his help, setting up a network of safe houses and gathering evidence against the program. His apparent paranoia had actually been careful preparation for exactly this situation. The breakthrough came when they managed to contact other veterinarians and scientists who had helped escape enhanced animals. An underground network of sympathetic professionals had been forming, each protecting extraordinary creatures while gathering evidence of the illegal experiments. Sarah and her cat weren't alone anymore. They were part of a growing resistance against the dark side of military animal research. These allies brought new resources, knowledge, and most importantly, hope. Working together, the network began leaking carefully selected information to trusted journalists and ethical oversight committees. The cat's abilities proved crucial in this effort, ensuring their communications were untraceable and their evidence undeniable. Public opinion began to shift as stories of enhanced animals and cruel experiments came to light. The pressure on the military program mounted as congressional inquiries were launched and whistleblowers came forward. Sarah watched with pride as her feline companion testified before a closed Senate committee, not in person, but through an extraordinary demonstration of its abilities, interfacing directly with the committee's computers to share its experiences and evidence. The cat's intelligence and emotional depth shattered preconceptions about animal consciousness, forcing society to confront difficult questions about the nature of awareness and the rights of enhanced beings. The military program was officially shut down 3 months after Sarah and the cat had fled the veterinary clinic. The revelation of Project Oracle led to new legislation protecting animal rights and regulating genetic research. The other enhanced animals were located and freed, each finding sanctuary with members of the veterinary network that had helped expose the truth. A new chapter in human-animal relationships had begun, sparked by one brave cat's leap through a car window. Sarah's life had transformed completely, but she had no regrets. The lake house became a sanctuary for other enhanced animals, a place where they could recover and learn to use their abilities safely. The cat remained by her side, no longer just a patient or a fugitive, but a partner in creating something revolutionary, a bridge between human and animal consciousness. Their story became a symbol of hope, proving that true connection transcends species and that courage can wear many forms. Mike, the ex-military veterinarian, joined their cause, bringing with him crucial insight into the program's inner workings. His expertise helped them understand and document the full scope of what had been done to these animals. But more importantly, he helped them see that the enhanced abilities were just part of the story. The real miracle was the animals' capacity for forgiveness, their willingness to trust again, despite everything they had endured. As Sarah sat on the lake house porch 1 year after their extraordinary journey began, the cat curled contentedly in her lap. She reflected on how a single moment of compassion had snowballed into a movement that changed the world. The cat had chosen well when it leaped through her car window, not just for its own survival, but for all the other enhanced animals who would follow in its path to freedom. Together, they had turned a story of exploitation into one of hope, proving that the most powerful enhancements weren't the ones made in laboratories, but those that came from the heart. Sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin with the simplest of moments. A car window left slightly open on a crisp autumn morning, a split-second decision to stop and help, a choice to trust in the face of uncertainty. Sarah's encounter with the remarkable cat that leaped into her car wasn't just a coincidence. It was a testament to the invisible threads that connect all living beings, waiting for the right moment to pull us together in ways we could never imagine. The legacy of their journey extended far beyond the closure of Project Oracle and the new laws protecting animal rights. Universities across the globe began studying the potential for enhanced animal intelligence, but this time with strict ethical guidelines and a focus on understanding rather than exploitation. The cat's remarkable abilities had opened humanity's eyes to the untapped potential within the animal kingdom, leading to breakthrough discoveries about animal consciousness, emotion, and intelligence that would reshape our understanding of our fellow Earth inhabitants. Sarah and the cat continued their work at the sanctuary, now internationally recognized as a pioneer in human-animal communication and rehabilitation. Other enhanced animals found their way to them, each with their own story of survival and hope. The cat, once a frightened experiment subject, became a teacher and guide to both humans and animals, showing them how to bridge the gap between species through trust, respect, and open hearts. The bond between Sarah and her extraordinary companion grew stronger with each passing day, proving that love knows no boundaries of species or circumstance. The story of the cat who jumped into a moving car became more than just a tale of survival. It became a symbol of hope for anyone who felt different, misunderstood, or afraid. It showed the world that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is trust another being with our vulnerability, and that true strength often comes not from the modifications we receive, but from the connections we forge. In their quiet moments together, Sarah and the cat shared an understanding that transcended words. They had not just changed each other's lives, they had started a revolution of compassion. The mysterious abilities that had been forced upon the cat through cruel experiments had ultimately served a greater purpose, becoming tools for healing and understanding rather than weapons of war. The cat's choice to trust Sarah that morning had transformed a story of exploitation into one of redemption, proving that even the darkest intentions can be overcome by the light of compassion and courage. Their journey had shown the world that the most powerful force isn't found in laboratories or military compounds, but in the simple decision to help another living being in need. In the end, perhaps the most remarkable aspect of their story wasn't the cat's enhanced abilities or their role in exposing a secret military program. It was the reminder that extraordinary things happen when we open our hearts to the unexpected. A simple act of kindness, a car window left open, a leap of faith. These seemingly small moments can cascade into changes that reshape our world. Sarah and her remarkable feline companion had proven that sometimes the most incredible journeys begin with nothing more than the courage to stop and help a stranger in need.